Tom.
Hiya.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Tom, I'm 17, I live in a sleepy village in northeast Lincolnshire. I'm currently doing 3 A-levels. I'm doing one in music, one in geography and one in religious studies, and I absolutely love music. I think that sums me up really.
Fantastic. So you're applying to be youth president this year. How would you explain the role of youth president to people who don't really know what that means?
Okay, so I think that the youth president role is there to be a voice for the people and the young people and the youth of the Methodist Church, along with the youth reps, and so together they can provide a voice for the youth of the Methodist Church.
Excellent. So in your year as youth president, if you were to be elected, what would you want to achieve?
What would I want to achieve? I think that I'd want to make the message of Christianity and the love of God made simpler, because I feel a lot of the time it's very complicated, it's quite hard for us to understand, and actually God's love for us is really easy. He loves us. So yeah, I just want to make that message simpler.
Fantastic. So during your year, you're going to be meeting all sorts of different people. How would you go about sort of engaging with people who don't know that the youth president exists, who don't know that that's a thing yet? How would you find those people, and what would you do to engage with them?
To be quite honest, I'd just go and visit them. I'd go and speak to them, see what they wanted, see what their thoughts are, because going to see them, I can engage with them, and therefore we can move forward.
Fantastic. So all of these questions that I've been asking you and will continue to ask you have come from young people and the youth reps who sort of want to know these things to sort of help them in their decision making when it comes to the 3Gen. But this question's come from an 8-year-old who is aspiring to be a youth president one day. So
Thanks.
They've asked, what age did you start getting more involved at church, and what did you do to be involved?
Great question. Well, I became a member of my church when I was 14, and it kind of went from there really. I spoke to my minister at the time and said I want to do more in the church, so we discussed about being a youth steward, something that had not been done before, and so I became a youth steward. We did all kinds of stuff, and now I'm doing stuff as a congregational rep. I'm doing stuff on the IT desk, and sometimes you'll find me at the front playing the piano, so all kinds of stuff.
Fantastic. And what advice might you give to somebody who's wanting to get involved in church but not really sure where to start, who to talk to? Yeah.
So what would I say? I think that I'd say just have conversations with people. Realise that God's calling you to do something, and talk to people. Talk to the stewards. Talk to your minister. Talk to anybody in the congregation really that you feel there's something that God's calling you to do, and just go from there and see where it takes you.
Fantastic. So these next few questions are more about your sort of personal faith journey. So someone's asked if you could share a bit about your faith journey and where you think God's working in your life, or where you feel God is working in your life at the moment.
So I was brought up in Methodism. I was christened goodness knows how many months old, about 3 or 4. But I really started to notice God when I was about 12 or 13. I noticed that he was going, "Hi, I'm here," and then and as I said, I became a member when I was 14, and he's been in everything that I do, even though I don't notice it sometimes. God is there, and I think that at the minute God's calling me to do the youth president role, so I just see him everything that I do.
Fantastic. Someone else has asked, have you ever had a time when your faith has been hard, and what kept you going while your faith was hard?
I find faith hard a lot of the time, just because there can be people that have different faiths to me or have no faith, and that challenges me. But actually, I think that what keeps me going is actually, at the back of my mind, I do know God loves me, and no matter where I am in life, whether I'm down, whether I'm absolutely elated, I know that God is there and he loves me and is with me all the way.
Excellent. You sort of touched on this very briefly there, but one of the other questions is, how do you deal with having different beliefs to your friends, or even other people in your church that maybe think differently to you?
Honestly, I just have conversation with them. I see what they think, what I think, what they don't think at all. Anything anything that we have in our minds, just have conversations about. And actually, I feel like having those conversations can help me understand my faith even more.
Amazing. Okay, the last question is, what message would you give to children and young people in the church? So if you could give a sentence or something to children and young people watching this, what would you say to them?
God loves you, no matter who you are, what you're doing, what you're not doing. God loves you and he always will love you.